Hello, welcome to another bytebend.com video. Today I thought I would go through Endpoint Analytics, Proactive Remediations. So I've been talking a lot about this in my recent blogs on how I've used Proactive Remediation scripts to fix issues on clients, mainly as we've been moving workloads across from code management. And we've seen some legacy settings that have been deployed to the clients that have need remediating. We've taken advantage of proactive remediations. So I'm going to spend a bit of time in this video just to go through how we get started. Maybe you guys have already done this, so I'm not going to dwell too long on it, but I'll post some links on the video at the end to show you how to do that. And I'll give a short demonstration of how we can use scripts to remediate our clients. So if you think of these scripts as, you know, they're kind of like the configuration items that we used to use in Configuration Manager, or we still do use quite heavily. And we've never really had a comparative feature in Intune before until Proactive Remediations. So we've had push script, we can push scripts out to clients, but we couldn't say, you know, keep checking if there's an issue. If you find an issue on the client, remediate it. So push scripts was kind of a set it, forget it, one off. If it fixed it, great. If it didn't, not so great. So I can see some real value for proactive remediations moving forwards. Anyway, we did that, so let's get started. As you can see here, I've gone to my Endpoint Manager Admin Center, and I've clicked on Reports on the left-hand side, and if I just zoom in nicely here, I've got Endpoint Analytics, which is still in preview, and we get to the landing page. Now, as I said, if you guys have set this up already, you won't see this, but as you can see here in my test tenant, all my options are grayed out, and I need to get to Proactive Remediations. Now, the reason it's grayed out is because I need to onboard my clients into Endpoint Analytics, and there's a couple of ways, you know, we can do that. We can use Configuration Manager to onboard our clients. We can use Tenant Attach, which is fine. The Microsoft preferred way, I guess, is to use Intune to onboard your clients. So we're going to be focusing on co-managed clients that are Windows 10, and they meet the prerequisites for Endpoint Analytics enrollment. So the Windows 10, they're either Intune enrolled or co-managed devices. We see some really cool stuff for Startup Insights, which lights up with Windows 10 1903 or above. We need some access to some telemetry URLs, which again, I'll put in the links below just so that our clients can send data, so we can start to dig into some of those kind of insights. And licensing, we need the EMS E3 SKU or higher, or the M365 SKU E3 or higher. And the role you need to get this set up is the Intune Service Administrator role. Again, all of this is in the documentation. It's well documented. You don't need me to teach you to suck eggs there. I'm going to post that in the video below. And let's get started. So let's start an enrollment. So on the landing page, if we scroll down, we can see the option. We'll pick the default. All of our cloud managed devices, so they're Azure AD joined, Intune enrolled, or hybrid Azure AD joined and Intune enrolled, co-managed devices. Break it down how you like. We're going to go with the default option, and we're going to say start. I'm rushing through the video a bit because I've got to pick the girls up from school, so forgive me. And there we go. So everything's lit up now. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background. So our clients are going to start checking in, sending some data, some telemetry data, and we'll start getting some analytics here. But what we're really interested in is proactive remediation. So that has lit up now. And there we go. So to get started with proactive remediations, again, it gives you a bit of an idea of what's required licensing wise. So there we go. So it's Windows 10 Enterprise, Education, E3 or A5 or A3 or F3, Windows Virtual Desktop, E3 or E5. And you have to be an Intune Service Administrator or Global Admin to switch this on. So I'm going to say confirm license. We can see it's just getting set up in the background. So what it's doing here is Microsoft give you some scripts already. And what they're going to give you is some detection scripts. So it's going to find an issue that may exist on a client. So they've got some really cool examples in there. And it's going to give you a remediation script. So a proactive remediation is made up of a detection script and a remediation script, just like a CI in ConfigMan. Just give this a little second. So this is live. This may take a little while to pull these in. Okay, I'm not going to dwell. Why would you use a proactive remediation and not just a PowerShell script? So one of the things I've come across recently in one of my tenants is a legacy group policy setting was tattooed to the client registry, which was disabling Windows updates. It's disabling automatic updates. So with the client, we moved the workload for Windows updates from Config Manager to Intune, and it was great. And during the the exercise where we're looking at what they had and what they didn't have and what they needed, was there anything that was going to conflict that came across from the old environment as we moved the workload across to Intune. And one of the things we noticed was automatic updates group policy had been applied to those clients. And that was something that they'd done earlier on when they had config man. It was quite a common thing to do for admins to disable automatic updates. It disabled duplicate Windows Update notification balloons. It would stop the client reaching out to WSUS for WSUS agent updates. So there's a few reasons why people done it. It's quite a common thing I've seen. You guys may not have seen it in your environment. But essentially the registry key that was being set by the group policy object. So we went under policies, Microsoft Windows Update, automatic update. And this was the policy that was being set on the client. This was set to 1. Okay. And what that looked like on the client you can see here, your organization has turned off automatic updates. So with that legacy setting in place, that legacy registry key, it was preventing our update rings from Intune from applying to our clients. So I thought, cool. Well, not so cool. How do we resolve this? And this is where we use proactive remediation. So the detection script would consist of checking whether this registry key exists and checking if that value equals 1. And if we get a match on that, we were returning a non-compliance. So we're saying this client is not compliant because I can see the registry key and that value is set to 1. And so our remediation script would say, okay, I've got a client here who's non-compliant. Let's fix it. So the remediation script will then set that value to 0. And the client was good. The Windows updates would then carry on. So if I show you, I'll reset that to 0. We'll open Windows updates again. You can see that banner is now gone. So Windows updates has now resumed normal functionality. So this is the problem we had. We'll just show you the scripts briefly. There's nothing too exciting here. So our first script was to detect automatic updates. So we were looking at this particular registry key that group policy set. And essentially we're getting that registry key and we're checking the value is equal to 0. So if the registry key is equal to 0, we're exiting the script with a success. So we're saying 0. We don't have to write the output to the script. I've just done this for testing my client. If we're not matching 0, we're going to return a non-compliant. So we're just going to exit the script with a numerical value of 1. And if we get any errors, we can also return a non-compliance as well. So if I run this on my PC now, I'm getting a compliant back. and that's because my registry key is correct, set to 0. If I was to set this to 1, which meant the policy was enabled, and I run the script, I'm getting a non-compliant. That's cool. So that's the detection script, and that's pretty cool, quite straightforward. And then the remediation script that we had, again, we were just putting in some variables for the same key, the same value as 0, and we were just setting a registry key. Simple as that. Nice and easy script. So let's pull this into our Endpoint Analytics dashboard. So we want to make sure that we're on the Proactive Remediations tab, and we want to go to the top here and click on Create Script Package. Let's give it a name. Hey, look, I've been already. Who would have thought? Enable automatic. I like to put a description in, you know, because sometimes you can put a title in that's not obvious what you're trying to do. So put a description in. There's a box there. It'll help you later, you know, when you think, crikey, why on earth have I enabled this? Right, let's just... The PC wants to reboot during a demo. That's cool. Okay, so we want to click on Next at the bottom. This has changed recently. So before, you'd have to paste in your PowerShell code into the script window, and recently they've changed this, so you have to bring the script in as a file, which is cool. We can do that. So we'll click on the little open tool. It's in my GitHub repository in my C drive, so we'll just pull these scripts in. So this is the detection script we're pulling into the top. And now we want to pull in the remediation script. Okay. This script's going to run in the system context. So we don't want to run it in the user context. We're not going to enforce a script signature check. And just one thing to bear in mind, if you sign your scripts, there are some prerequisites that you have to adhere to. So it's in the prereqs, and I'll post that below. I'm not using a signed script in this instance, so it's fine. And I don't have any modules that require 64-bit PowerShell, so I'm going to leave that no as well. We press Next. Who do we want to deploy it to? Well, you may have a collection for all of your co-managed devices that are susceptible to this particular problem. You can send it to all your Windows 10 devices. In theory, I'd say, yeah, all my devices that are enrolled into Intune, the Windows updates are being managed by an update ring, and I don't want any of them to have updates disabled. You know, that's a fair comment. So we'll enable this. Okay, so this gets interesting now. So the Proactive Remediation by default is going to run daily, so every 24 hours. If you've got a particularly nasty problem you're trying to address on the client, you can be more aggressive with your schedule. And we can set this to hourly if we want. And we can set it to only run once. That's cool as well. I'm going to set this to run every hour because I can. So you're going to have to choose the schedule that best fits the use case for your remediation. I don't need to exclude any groups, so I'm going to just skip past this bit here. And I'm going to say Next. And you get a summary. So here's the name of my custom script. It tells me that I've assigned a detection script and a remediation script. I'm not using user credentials. I'm not enforcing a script signature check. And I don't require this to run in 64-bit PowerShell. I've assigned it to all devices and I want it to run every hour. I'll click Create. There we go. This is what I mentioned earlier. We can see that some of the predefined scripting packages from Microsoft have started to come into our tenant now. So that took a few minutes, but they're there now, and they're quite useful to use. So there's a common one in there where the Office 365 click to run app service stops, which prevents your Office from updating. You know, this, if you enable this script, it will re-enable that, which is pretty cool. And I'll hit refresh again at the top here, and you can see our scripting package has come in and it's active. Now, as the clients start to check in for this policy and they receive it, your data will start to get populated on this dashboard. Now, it's not instant. There can be a slight delay, you know, so just be patient for that data to come back. On the client side, so I've gone to a client here that is Intune enrolled. So let's just show you that. So this device meets the prerequisites for Proactive Remediations. It's a Windows 10, I think it's an 1809 device, this one. Yeah, 17763. It's Windows 10 1809. And you can see we have co-management enabled, and the client apps workload is moved across for that particular client. Again, I'll send you the prereqs in the link below. It's important that that's enabled. That's my device. Just wanted to show you guys that there's an Intune. And what I've opened up here, I'm using CM Trace, and I'm opening up the Intune management extension log. So it's the Intune management extension that is going to be running these scripts on your client. So it's the log file to check when things are happening. So what I'm going to do is give my little device a wake-up call, give it a sync. And I'll just show you on here as well if I open the registry. So here's one I made earlier. You can see that this client is actually non-compliant by definition. So we have the no auto update registry key, and it's currently set to 1. So we might be just pausing the video here and restarting it again while we wait for this to happen. Yep, it's definitely a waiting game. You know, last time I've done this in the lab on some test clients, you know, I was trying everything under the sun to get the thing to kick in straight away. I was restarting services, doing a policy sync check. The other machines in the lab were processing the scripts before the one I was working on. So, you know, let that be a lesson. Oh, here we go. Okay, so the Intune management extension. I don't know if you guys can see here. I won't step through the log file step by step because it doesn't zoom in very well. But you can see the Intune management extension agent has found our remediation script and our pre-detection script. So if we just scroll through this now and see if we can understand what happened just by looking at the logs. Okay, so the pre-remediation detection script compliance results is false. So we're going to kick off the remediation script. If we have a look, keep looking through the file, you can see here we're not enforcing a signature check. That's set to false. That was one of the options we had when we created our proactive remediation script. We can see the script is being run, and we have a PowerShell execution code, exit code of 0, which is cool. So that's for the pre-detection script. Our device is now compliant. Just zoom on here. Cool. I think the rest of these lines now is just the rest of the MDM agent doing its thing. Yeah, so they're the important lines in the client log file. did it work? So let's check our registry key. I'm just going to hit F5. There you go. Demo gods are kind. The no auto update registry key is now changed to 0. Excellent. So our proactive remediation script has run successfully. And if we check our Windows Update settings, hopefully now, yeah, automatic updates is no longer disabled. They're enabled. So that was one example of how we can use proactive remediations. A lesson there really is read the prereqs. It's quite straightforward to set this thing up. It's not going to change any data in your tenant. It's just ingesting telemetry data from your endpoints. So there is no need, there is no worry not, there's no need to not bring your clients in to Endpoint Analytics. Give it a go. You know, there's some really cool data there on how well your machines are performing, on what software can cause your machines to perform slowly or start up slowly. Really good stuff. I really recommend you do it. And one of the big takeaways is proactive remediations. And you can see in this lab here, we used one example of how we found a registry key and we fixed it. You know, the sky's the limit. Just as CIs are within config man, proactive remediations in Intune, you know, I think there's going to be a few things that you can't fix because most things you can fix with a script. Cool. So that's all for this video. Thank you ever so much for watching. If you've got any questions, put it in the comments below. If you've got any other ideas on any other videos you want to see, let me know. And until next time, we'll see you then.